afternoon. Welcome back to Football League World TV. It's time for the final show of the week, and that means, of course, it's time for the weekend preview. I'm your host, George Dagless, and joining me this afternoon is Chris Gallagher. Chris, how you getting on?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. I'm very glad the international break's over now, and then back. I know there was games last week, but we're back for a full schedule this weekend, and there's some really big games, isn't there? It's really heating up now.
Yeah, some huge games to look ahead to this weekend. We've got 9 fixtures across the EFL that myself and Chris will be previewing in detail. EFL fans, get in touch with us. We're across Facebook, YouTube and Twitter for the next 25 or so minutes. We are live. Let us know, are you going to a game this weekend? What are your predictions for your team? Let's get going though, and we start as ever with the Championship. Chris, we'll look at the bottom of the league in the Championship first of all. Barnsley against Reading. This is a huge game, isn't it, between these two sides? So much riding on it for Barnsley. If they win, they can get themselves, right back into contention for safety, close the gap to 2 points to Reading, who are just above the drop zone. Whereas for the Royals, it's an opportunity really to potentially put this survival fight to bed if they can win.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think if Reading do pick up the 3 points, then I'd say it is all over. I think Peterborough could potentially mean they're only 7 ahead, but even then at that stage with 7 games left, you're asking a lot for a side in the bottom 3 to show the sort of form that they'll probably do well to get 7 points if we're honest. So yeah, this is a massive game for Barnsley. I think a draw just about keeps them going along, maybe giving them another day. But if they do lose, I think it's all over really. But they're obviously going to be eyeing up the win, aren't they, against a Reading side that struggle away from home. And Barnsley's form at Oakwell has picked up a lot recently. So yeah, this feels like it's a must-win for them really. This is their chance to really close the gap and put the pressure on Reading.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point you mentioned. Their home form, Barnsley. I mean, at the start of the season, it was woeful, wasn't it? It was just absolutely dire. That's probably part of the reason, really, why they're in the mess that they're in. But it has picked up in recent weeks. You look back at the results they've had in the last few matches. I mean, a win against Middlesbrough not too long ago, win over Bristol City, some home draws in there as well. They've got to kind of use that and obviously hope for a positive atmosphere at Oakwell that's going to try and get them over the line.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's cliched that you've got to win your home games, but that's how it is. Most teams pick up more points at home than away because of the things you mentioned, the crowd, the just having their own pitch. So this is how Barnsley are going to have to stay up. They are going to have to win their home games, and as you said, they have turned a corner. I think that they're perhaps a bit lucky. The draw with Fulham sticks out as one where they did get the rub of the green, but they'll say they deserve that after how things went earlier in the season. But yeah, they seem to have just found the new January signings have made a big difference to the team, giving them that extra bit of quality in the final third. And I think the fans will recognise just how important this game is on Saturday, so they'll be right behind the team and they'll be seeing it as we've said, as a must-win to really close the gap and put the pressure on.
As for Reading, their away form's not been great, has it, of late? I mean, they got a draw, in fairness to them, just before the international break at Bournemouth, but a heavy loss at Nottingham Forest not too long before that, a heavy loss at Blackpool as well. Reading have shown that they can sometimes be a bit leaky on the road. Occasionally they pull out a good result. They got a win at Preston, didn't they, as well, back in February. But, the Royals at times do look a bit shaky on their travels. And I guess, for the Royals fans that are travelling, they just want to see a solid performance first and foremost. And they probably take a draw, wouldn't they, at the moment?
Yeah, I think they would take a draw, to keep that 5-point gap from Barnsley. I think, they'd take that all day and then look at the next 7 games. But, as you say, the away form's got to be a real worry. I think the Reading as a team, they're just pretty unpredictable, and it's not really what you want. It does mean that they can, as we've said, get the odd result here that is a surprise, but it also means you don't trust them to get to dig in when they need to. And I think Paulins has even referenced that already, even in the short time he's been in charge. It was early on. I think he was questioning the character of the players, and I think it does seem a fair accusation towards them that they don't stand up and be counted when it needs to be. And that's got to change really, because if they do lose against Barnsley, the running is going to be really difficult, and really it's going to be tough for everyone involved at the club.
Yeah, they've certainly got to stand up and be counted this weekend. Let's get the score prediction then for this one, Chris. Where do you see it going?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think with Reading, as I just said, with Reading, you could probably make a case for any result here, but I think we need the champion. We need a bit more excitement, don't we? So I'll go for a Barnsley win, and then that'll really make the final 7 games exciting. So I'll go 2-1 Barnsley.
Yeah, certainly liven things up if that happens. I'm pretty sure some Reading fans probably won't be too pleased if that is what does come to pass. But I can kind of see, you're thinking now I'm gonna side with Barnsley too. I'm gonna go for a narrow 1-0 win to really blow the survival race open down at the bottom of the Championship. Moving away from that game, let's look further up the table now and talk Luton's game against Millwall. Chris, Luton continue to excel, don't they? And I guess now it's going to be a real test of, can they get over the line? They've obviously won promotions before. There's still players there that have won promotions before as well from League Two and League One. And obviously Nathan Jones oversaw so much success in his first spell there. Saying that, they've never really been in this position, have they? Get into the Premier League, and it's going to be a real test for them starting this weekend.
Yeah, well, yeah, it'll be one of the stories of the whole of English football, wouldn't it, if Luton win promotion? They've been in the top flight before, that a lot of people seem to forget. But yeah, it would be a remarkable. I think Nathan Jones touches on the budget he's working with compared to the rivals around them, and it really would be incredible. But I think that shock factor has maybe disappeared, and I think they have in the last few weeks. People have really took them seriously now. They know that people aren't predicting that they'll fall away now necessarily. There is an acceptance that they are a good team, and especially at Kenilworth Road, they're really hard to beat, and it's a tough venue to go to. So yeah, I think they've got to just see this as a great opportunity. You can't, with their resources, you can't plan to be in this position. It's just once you're there, you've got to try and take the chance that comes your way. And Millwall at home is going to be a good atmosphere, big game, and it's one that they'll think that they can win, even though Millwall are a strong side. But it's a good opportunity for Luton.
As for Millwall, they're a side that quite often at this point in the season are there or thereabouts, just outside the playoffs, but they tend to sort of fade away, don't they? They lost just before the international break after such an impressive unbeaten run to get themselves back into contention. Do you think the international break came at a good time for them or a bad time in terms of them trying to get a response?
It probably did come at a good time. I think they'd been on that roll, but it was even towards the last. I think the last four, it's 1 win in 4 now. I think there was a few 0-0s in there. They probably just needed this break to refresh and regroup, and kind of again just use this as like a mini end to the season and just look at this running and go for it in that period. Because the main issue is scoring goals for them, isn't it? That's probably not going to change. They're going to have to grind out wins. They're going to have to try and nick the odd 1-0 here and there. So it is going to be tough for them, but that unbeaten run should give them the confidence to show that they can do it. So yeah, I don't think they'll be fearing this period. It's quite similar to Luton in a way that they're another side where they don't have the resources of other teams. So just they're in with the shout for the playoffs. That's as good as they would have hoped, really. And let's see what they can do.
I mean, it's a big opportunity, isn't it, in some respects for Millwall? You look at the league table, Luton in 3rd, Millwall in 10th, but only 6 points between all those teams. It's a massive opportunity for the Lions to firmly get themselves into that playoff mix and bring, potentially, depending on how other results go, a lot of sides closer to them.
Yeah, it's a massive game in that sense, isn't it? If they do lose to Luton, you'd say they can't really catch Luton. It's going to be really difficult to make up that ground, 9 points. But yeah, if they win, like you say, it's game on really for about 8 to 9 teams. You could argue, or maybe more. So yeah, it does feel like a big game for them. I think again, they could probably do accept a draw, and because they aren't going to win, every game. So if they did get a point, it wouldn't be a bad point, and they go again. But yeah, a win would really put them in the hunt, and a defeat would make it a lot harder.
Okay, we'll see what happens there. Let's get your score prediction, Chris.
Yeah, I think this will be a close one. I'll go for 1-1. I don't think there's too much between them. I think a draw isn't the worst result for either, so 1-1.
Okay, I'm going to edge with Luton. I think they might just get another big result on their way, potentially, to at least a playoff place and potentially on the way to the Premier League. I'm going to go 1-0 to the Hatters. Another big game taking place in the Championship this weekend. Not necessarily anything riding on it in terms of the promotion battle or the relegation fight, but plenty of bragging rights at stake as Cardiff take on Swansea. Chris, first of all, what do you make of a 3 o'clock kickoff on a Saturday between two massive rivals like this? It's a bit of a bold move, isn't it, from the local police in that area?
It is, yeah. I think, we used to watch them. It used to seem to be like 11 o'clock. It was even earlier than midday. Yeah, so yeah, I think it is still a bubble fixture though. So the Swansea fans will be getting herded in and not allowed out. But yeah, it is. It's very surprising. It's usually on the telly as well. So obviously it's not again. So yeah, it should make for a better atmosphere, I suppose, if the fans haven't had to get up too early. So have a few more hours down the pub.
Yeah, I'm sure they're both sets of fans are going to enjoy it on Saturday. And the good thing is as well for both set of fans, in some respects, is there's not much riding on it now, is there? I mean, neither side's obviously going to go down. Neither team is going to be challenging for the playoffs. So it could potentially be a very exciting game with the shackles off for both teams.
Yeah, I think that's what you'd hope. And you should, as you said, there is no pressure at all. Just the fan with the bragging rights, I suppose. That is quite a lot of pressure on the players. But yeah, it is one that they can approach just going for the win. I think for Swansea as well. I think no side's ever done the double in this fixture, which is pretty remarkable, isn't it? So this is their chance to make a little bit of history by if they can get the win. I think they'll fancy. I think a nice stadium, nice pitch. It could be suited to their style of play, but Morrison's going to have Cardiff fired up, isn't he? So yeah, I think probably, even though there isn't much riding on it, it's a shame that it isn't on telly because it would have been a good watch, I think, or it should be a good watch.
Yeah, certainly should be one to catch the highlights at least later on in the evening. Chris, which way do you see this one going? Can you call this one?
Yeah, it's another one you wouldn't be too surprised. It'd probably edge towards Cardiff. They've got the better form. I think Swansea are a bit like Reading in a sense. You can't really trust them away from home. You don't know how they're going to do. They have played well at West Brom, sticks out, but then they go and lose games. So they're one of those sides. I think Cardiff will make it really physical. The crowd will be on top, and I think that will just give Cardiff the edge. I'll go 2-1.
Yeah, I can sort of see that happening as well. I'm going to go with a Cardiff victory 2. I'm going to go 2-0 to the Bluebirds. One final game to talk about in the Championship, and that sees Birmingham take on West Brom on the Sunday. Chris, it's another big derby game between two Midlands rivals. Birmingham, I think it's fair to say again that they're not playing for much. As for West Brom, I suppose they have very faint playoff hopes. They're currently sitting 7 points outside the top 6. They've got 8 matches to go to try and make up that gap. Let's talk Baggies first of all. Do you think if they lose here or maybe just don't even win here, it could be game over for the top 6?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I think they've got to win really. Yeah, even if they do win, you won't be backing them to finish in the top 6. But whilst they've got a chance, they've got to keep winning, haven't they? They've picked up a bit recently. I think the draw against Bristol City was a bit disappointing last time out after how they played against Fulham, which was probably the best performance of the season. So then the fact that they didn't follow up that with a win was a shame. It was a shame for them, but they did get a late point, so you can use that as a positive if you want that they fought back. So yeah, I think most fans have probably already got an eye on next season, but whilst you've got 7 points, so you're not going to give up, are you? You've got to try and get the win and see where it takes you. But yeah, I think it is a must win.
I suppose in some ways Birmingham are a dangerous animal, aren't they? Like we've said, they've not got much to play for now this season, and in that respect, West Brom are going to have to be ready for a team that can play again with the shackles off and can obviously just go out and attack and try and kill the game off early on.
Yeah, I think it's been a tough season for Blues. Really, they haven't been helped with injuries. I think Chong's injury early on was a massive blow for them. That took away a lot of the attacking threat, and then even in the past month, the defensive injuries have been quite ridiculous. Really, he's having to play fullback, centre half. So I think that has eased somewhat now. And then I think the team that they put out on Sunday should be a decent side. I think the fans will be quite intrigued to see how it plays when they do have more players fit. And I think because if you do look at the 11, it should be quite. There is some good attacking options, I think. So that as you said, it's a game where nothing to lose. So you have to just go for it, really. And I think Bowyer he's the type of manager to encourage that. So I think he'll have one eye on next season. He'll be looking to see who can be part of his plans, and this is a good test for him.
Okay, let's get your score prediction for this one, Chris.
Yeah, I think it'll be quite a good game. I'll go for 2-2.
Yeah, I was thinking 2-2 as well, to be fair. I think it could be quite open, and that draw potentially could pretty much put the final nail in the coffin for West Brom's playoff hopes. I did say that was the last game we were going to talk about. We actually missed the QPR Fulham match that was on the schedule as well. So let's talk about that West London derby now, Chris. QPR very much out of form before the international break. How important do you think the last couple of weeks have probably been for them to regroup and think, look, we've kind of let ourselves down, really, not just before the international break as well. Quite a long time before that, they were sort of limping along. They've got a handful of games left now to try and right those wrongs. And I guess if there's going to be any place to start, it's against your local rivals that are looking set for the Premier League sooner rather than later.
Yeah, it's not the best game for them, is it, when you do need to win? But yeah, as you say, I think that international break probably did come at the right time. I think think we saw Charlie Austin tweet about how he's ready. It's kind of given them space to really gear up and focus on this try and forget what's happened in the last few months and just go again for this small run of games, because they've not been good enough, have they? Some of the results, the Peterborough one at home stands out as a truly awful result considering their situation. And it's just down to the players really. Now they do have quality in there, not necessarily to beat Fulham, but do have quality to get the results that they need over the next few games to put themselves in contention for the last part of the season. So it's a big game, and this could in a way be what they need, where the crowd will accept that they're underdogs. They'll be trying to help the team push on, and against a Fulham side that do have one foot in the Premier League. I know I wouldn't expect Fulham's players to have taken their eye off the ball in that sense, but sometimes it just happens, doesn't it? If you're virtually up or not got much to do, you can lose that focus. So QPR, I'd expect to be out the traps quick against them and see what they can do.
Yeah, I guess for Fulham, the challenge has to be to try and get promotion sealed as soon as possible. Don't let it drag out and start having people ask questions about it. I mean, you look at the table; they're 14 points clear of Luton, who are in third, and Fulham have played a game less. So it's very much in Fulham's hands. I guess Marco Silva, the message for the players that he's been with in the last couple of weeks during the international break is let's just get the job done as soon as possible.
Yeah, definitely. I think we all know that they are up, but I think as well he'll want the team to bounce back. I think the last game was the West Brom one, and they were awful for that first half, especially. It was just not what you've seen all season. So I think for a side with the amount of points they've got, the players they've got, they do set high standards, and I think for themselves they'll want to bounce back after that, because I know you do dwell on the result, the last result before the break, and it was a real poor display from them. So this is a chance. They just want to get the job done quick enough. I think they'll back themselves to do it in a matter of weeks.
Okay, let's get your score prediction for this one, Chris.
Yeah, expect it close. Well, I'll go for 1-1 in this.
I'm going to go for Fulham. Narrow, I think, as well, though. I think it'll be 2-1 to the Cottagers. That rounds off our Championship chat on the weekend preview. Let's talk League One next. Chris, we'll start with a big game up near the top. Another sort of local rivalry between Wigan and Bolton. Wigan obviously are looking very good to seal promotion, aren't they? So we'll start with them. How do you think they'll go about this one? It is a rivalry, but I guess in some respects they've got to put that to one side, and really on paper they should win this game. Bolton have been good, haven't they, at times this season, but Wigan have been a sort of class above, and they just need to be professional about their job, and they should get the result.
Yeah, I think for the fans it will be sweet if they can beat Bolton because of that rivalry that you mentioned. But I think the players they'll be thinking automatic promotion and maybe even winning the league really with Rotherham's recent dip. But it's just about keeping that form. They did have a slight drop off earlier this year, but they've got back on track in the recent weeks. I think 4 wins in 5, and now they are looking like that strong side that we saw earlier in the season. They've got a lot of experience. They've got a lot of goals. They've got a lot of know-how. They're just a pretty complete team at League One level. So I think they'll all be focused on promotion, and this is just the next step for them. So at home as well. So this is a great game for them really to try and take that next step towards the main goal, which is going up.
As for Bolton, I know some of them, recently connected with the club have said we can still win all our games and seal a playoff place, which, you kind of admire the optimism. They've got to have that. Otherwise, what's the point in, finishing the season? But, they're 11 points outside the top 6, Chris, Bolton. It's pretty slim to none, their chances, isn't it, of them making the playoffs. They need a massive run of form, and obviously they need a lot of the sides above them to drop away as well. Having said all of that, that kind of makes them, in a similar respect to the likes of Birmingham and Swansea we mentioned earlier on, a bit of a dangerous animal. They've still got something to play for, which those sides didn't, but they can kind of just go out and see what happens, can't they? And we know when Bolton are attacking and free-flowing, they can be a match for anyone in League One. I don't really think they've got any chance, to be honest. I know they are saying the right things, but to be fair, the standard in League One this year is ridiculous. I think the points total for 6th place could be maybe even 80 points plus, well, quite easily 80 points plus, which is
pretty remarkable, really. So you do feel sorry for that next batch of teams that are probably going to finish 7th to maybe 12th. They are a very good size, but they're just the standard this year is very good. So yeah, and Bolton are one of those that they, as you say, they've shown on occasions that they can get results against anyone, particularly going forward. They're a real good watch on occasions, but I think they'd lost to Plymouth and MK Dons in the last 5, and they were the big games they really needed to win to put the pressure on, and they just couldn't do it. So I think they're probably in a fair position. They're a good side, but not up with the level of the others. But yeah, I think Ian Everett's already touched on this game. He wants to. Wigan hammered them earlier in the season, and it's about revenge, really, in a sense, just for themselves to show that they're better than they displayed that day. So they will have. This is a game that they'll desperately want to win for the support and for themselves. And I think it should be an entertaining clash.
Having said all that, then Chris, what's your score prediction for this one?
I think I'll go for another goal. So I'll go for 2-2 again. I think Wigan will get over the line and maybe even win the league, or probably win the league. But yeah, I think they could draw this one. A good game.
Okay, I think goals are written over this one as well. We go 3-2 to the Latics, though I fancy them now. The way it's looking to potentially take the title in the 3rd tier, and I think they're taking another step towards doing that with a win over the Trotters this weekend. One other game to talk about in League One is Plymouthy Oxford. It could be a playoff game, couldn't it, Chris? When the time comes for those games later on this season. Plymouth obviously lost to Ipswich last time out, bringing a run of 6 wins on the bounce to an end. Stephen Schumacher will be keen to see his team respond in the right way, won't he? And they've got home advantage to try and do that. Yeah,
I think the Ipswich game was a bit of a reality check for them. I think there was maybe a few mumblings of getting in the top 2, but that probably with the game played more than yeah, they've got a lot to do, haven't they, to finish in the top 2 now. It's about consolidating that playoff place. But yeah, I think they were pretty poor against Ipswich. I saw bits of that game, and they were second best. But Ipswich are excellent now. They're flying, aren't they? So there's nothing really to be ashamed of in that. It was just they lost to the better side on the day. And as you say, they've shown over the season that they're a very good team. The 6 wins in a row will have given them confidence. And then it's about going again against Oxford. It's another one where you expect goals, expect a big performance, and even as you said, this could easily be a playoff game, and it may be just a message. If they could get the win, it would be maybe give them the slight edge if they do meet later in the season. So maybe one to watch there. But yeah, it's just about getting the points now to make sure they are in the top 6, because if they do fall to another few defeats, that chasing pack will catch up pretty quickly, I think.
I think if Plymouth win this one, it takes them 77 points, doesn't it? And as you mentioned, 80 points could be, perhaps in other seasons enough to basically win automatic promotion, but it should be enough to win the playoffs or get into the playoffs, shouldn't it, this season? Plymouth take a big step towards that and obviously open the gap up to the likes of Oxford just below them. So if Plymouth win, I think potentially their top 6 spot is almost assured with 5 games of their season to go. As for Oxford, Chris, it's another big opportunity for them, isn't it? And you look at the games they've got coming up after this one, they're playing a team every week or every midweek that has something to play for, either up near the top end as a playoff rival or a promotion contender, or a team that's battling relegation. And it is the same kind of story with Plymouth, who are facing several of the playoff contenders in the final weeks. But keeping with Oxford, how do they go about this one with the big matches they've got ahead? Do you think they'd be happy potentially with draws in these away games, and then obviously win the home games against the playoff rivals and obviously the relegation contenders as well?
Yeah, I think they would take a point, but yeah, I think that's not really how they play, is it? They're just all about attacking and trying to score goals. So I think they'll go to Plymouth. I think it'll be the cliche, like one game at a time, just focus on Plymouth and try and get the points there, because it is a game they can win. Again, obviously Plymouth are very good, but it is a game Oxford can win. They've picked up results. They're quite good on the road this season. So yeah, it's not. I think it will be a good game. I think Oxford only really know one way how to play, and they'll go for it and see what happens.
And I mean, you look at the goals for tally in the table. Oxford obviously scored more than anyone else in the division. Plymouth joint second with the likes of Rotherham. The likes of Wigan in that goals for column, joint second. So having said all that, perhaps we should expect goals in this one as well. Chris, we've promised a lot of goals already this weekend, but you can see another entertaining clash between these two.
Yeah, I was going to go for 2-2 again, but I can't do that again. So I'll go. I think Oxford might nick this 3-2. We'll go. I think it should be a good game, but probably be 0-0 now.
Yeah, that's true. We'll probably guaranteed a load of 0-0s now. We're predicting all these goals, but I think you could be right. I think I do fancy Oxford actually to maybe give Plymouth the jitters a little bit more. I do still expect Plymouth to get into the top six by the end of the season, but I think Oxford could just open it up a little bit more, that race for the top six, and it's already so open, isn't it? That rounds off our League One chat. Just before we go, it's time to talk League Two. We'll start with a game up towards the top of the League Two table, Chris. Mansfield against Northampton. Let's talk Mansfield first of all. They're a team that obviously went on a really fabulous run not too long ago. Things are still, fairly in their hands, but they have sort of stuttered a little bit in more recent weeks. It's an opportunity for them to make a big statement, though, isn't it, against a Northampton team that's been there or thereabouts in the automatic promotion race all season.
Yeah, I think this is a big game. I think, as you said, the big games seem to be everywhere we're looking this weekend, but this is this one's going to have a real impact on who does finish in the top three. I think if Mansfield win with those games in hand, they'll really fancy their chances going into the run-in. So, it's a good opportunity for Clough's side to damage a rival, really, and push up the table themselves.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the points in League Two. I mean, we've already spoken about tight sort of playoff gaps in the Championship, and League One's pretty congested as well. But League Two perhaps sort of takes the biscuit even more. Northampton sitting on 66 points in third, but at Mansfield just 3 points behind. They're down in eighth. It just shows you how close it is. I guess for Northampton, if they can win this one, they obviously push Northampton back. And then they just kind of have to hope that some of the sides below them will drop points as well. It's kind of we're almost getting to the stage where if you lose, you're dropping outside the top seven.
Yeah, it's amazing, really, isn't it? Yeah, you could imagine going into the final day, teams will be in the playoffs going for automatic, but as you say, could miss the playoffs, so it could be. Yeah, there could be a lot of changes over the next few weeks, and it's going to be exciting to watch, isn't it, for all the neutrals? And these games, when you do play each other, just take on added importance because of that, because that is your chance to obviously help yourself and to pull a rival in or overtake someone. So, they're always important anyway, but at this stage of the season, it's massive. So, this does feel like another real big game for both, and I'd expect it to be tight and probably maybe not too many goals in this one, but should still be a great watch because of how tense and nervous that everyone will probably be.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can perhaps a little bit more cagey than some of the other games we've predicted. What is your score prediction of this one, Chris?
I think with the home advantage, I'll go for Mansfield to win 1-0.
Okay, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw between these ones, firmly sitting on the fence with that particular game. One final clash to talk about: Stevenage against Oldham, down near the bottom down right at the bottom of the League Two table. In fact, recently switched positions, haven't they, Chris? Oldham getting a win last time out to move into 22nd. Stevenage dropping into 23rd as they continue to struggle for form. Level on points, but the Latics have played one match more. It doesn't really get much bigger than this at this stage of the season, does it, in terms of a relegation fight?
No, it's a great game. It should be a great game as well for the same reason, just how nervy everyone will be, so much riding on it. I think Stevenage do have their game in hand, which maybe could become key over the next few weeks. But if they lose, you don't want to be giving a side an advantage when you're struggling for points. So it should be a real tense game, and I think Steve Evans obviously in there now. This will be he'll have been drilling the players for this game. Everyone knows how important it is, and it's just about who can perform on the day. There's not much between the sides, as the table suggests, and they're both. I know Oldham did win, but that came off the back of a poor run themselves. So neither's going into it in great form. So it'll be very interesting to see how it does play out.
And you look at some of the fixtures that Oldham in particular have got coming up. Several of the top sides just around the corner, whereas Stevenage, we've got a few of the top sides coming up, but also got games against some of the teams that are lower down the table, or the likes of Scunthorpe or mid-table side. So this almost for Oldham, although it'll be very much in their hands if they do win to an extent. If they lose it, it could potentially be curtains for them, couldn't it?
Yeah, I think at this stage of the season, you do have to look at the fixtures because, as you say, you don't want to be playing sides up there. They've got a lot to play for and more quality than your team, and that is what Oldham have got to do. So, yeah, you do identify games that you've got to pick up the points, and this will definitely be one of those for them, even though they're away from home. It's a game they'll think that need to win, and if they do win, it could be the catalyst to keep them up, and as well as damaging Stevenage. So yeah, I think they'll be going for the win. A draw wouldn't be the worst result, but yeah, they'll definitely know the importance of not losing this.
Okay, let's get your score prediction for this one, Chris.
Yeah, I think it'll be tight and cagey again. I'll probably go for 1-1.
All right, we'll see who that helps out at the end of the season. I'm going to go 1-0 Oldham. I fancy the Latics to get a potentially huge victory away at Stevenage this weekend. But that brings the weekend preview to a close. That's it for the weekend preview. As just said, it's also it for Football League World TV for the week. Chris, thanks for joining me this afternoon. Great to get your thoughts, and thanks to those that have been watching as well. If you can, subscribe to Football League World TV on YouTube and like this video. That'd be greatly appreciated by all of us here. Chris, enjoy the football this weekend. I'm sure, hopefully, as we've predicted, there's going to be plenty of goals for us to look back on the weekend review show on Monday. And wherever people are going this weekend, do enjoy the football. There should be plenty of action to take in over the next couple of days. But for myself and Chris, it's bye for now.